There are some names in true crime that everyone just knows, and for decades, one of those names has stood for cryptic clues, pure terror, and the ultimate mystery, a killer who was never ever caught. So today, we're gonna break down the timeline and the tactics of one of America's most infamous phantoms, the Zodiac Killer. Just like that, that's how he introduced himself to the world. You know, not with a face, not with a real name, but with a voice on the phone and words on a page. And that one simple sentence sent to the newspapers, that was the exact moment a string of horrible crimes suddenly became the work of one single terrifying persona. Okay, let's set the scene. Before he had a name, before he sent those infamous letters, there was just fear. We're going back to Northern California, late 1960s, and this is when a shadow really started to fall over these quiet, secluded lovers' lanes. So it starts in December 1968. Two teenagers, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, are shot and killed on this lonely road in Vallejo. Just brutal and out of nowhere. And then, nothing. For 7 whole months, there was just silence. You can imagine people starting to think maybe it was a one-off tragedy. But then, bam. July 1969. Darlene Ferrin is killed, and her friend Mike Maggio is seriously hurt in a nearly identical attack. Now the community is terrified. And the guy doing this? He's still just a ghost, a nameless shadow. All right, so this next part, this is where everything changes. This is the moment the killer decides to step out of the shadows and right into the headlines. But not because he got caught. Nope, it's because he gave himself a name. So he starts sending letters to the San Francisco Chronicle and other local papers. And he doesn't just confess, he issues an ultimatum. These letters, they had these shocking details about the murders, stuff only the killer could possibly know. That's how they knew it was real. And with that proof came a threat, and it was a big one. Publish my coded messages, or I will kill again. So what's a cipher? I mean, it's basically just a code, right? A secret way of writing. The Zodiac sent 4 of them. But here's the crazy part. Only one was actually solved back then. And you gotta understand, for him, the ciphers were more than just a code. They were a weapon. It wasn't just about hiding something. It was about playing a game. He was literally taunting the police, the press, everyone, daring them to solve his twisted puzzles, all while holding the threat of more violence over their heads. And when that first cipher was finally cracked by a local school teacher and his wife, of all people, this is what it said. I like killing people because it is so much fun. Just let that sink in. This wasn't some cry for help. It wasn't the confession of a troubled soul. It was a statement of pure, chilling enjoyment. And that's when everyone realized what they were dealing with. A killer who saw murder as a sport. And to top it all off, he created a brand for himself. Every single letter, every single taunt, he signed it with his symbol. That infamous crosshairs, you know the one. It became his signature, this instantly recognizable mark of terror that was plastered all over the newspapers. So now he's got a name, a symbol, he's a media sensation. And he gets even more brazen. The attacks are about to escalate, moving from these quick, dark ambushes to something far more theatrical and way more terrifying. I mean, this next attack is like something out of a horror movie. It's broad daylight at Lake Berryessa. A guy shows up wearing this bizarre hooded executioner's costume and approaches 2 college students, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard. He ties them up at knife point, then brutally stabs both of them. Cecilia doesn't survive. He wasn't just there to kill. He was putting on a performance, creating this image of absolute horror. And what does he do before he leaves? He calmly walks over to their car and draws his crosshair symbol right on the door. He's leaving his calling card. And just when you think the police might be getting a handle on his pattern, targeting tuples in these remote areas, he completely flips the script. Just weeks later, he strikes again. This time, he shoots and kills a cab driver, Paul Stein, right in the middle of San Francisco, a busy city. This just proved he could and would strike anywhere, anytime. So how did he get away? This part is just infuriating. After killing Paul Stein, people saw him walking away.
But a police dispatcher made a huge mistake. They broadcast a description for a black suspect when the killer was white. And get this, moments later, police officers actually pass the real Zodiac on the street. But because he didn't match the wrong description, they just let him go. He literally just walked away into the night. They were that close.
After that incredibly close call in San Francisco, something just shifts. The hunt is still on, it's more intense than ever, but the killer himself, he seems to just melt back into the shadows. He keeps sending letters, but the bodies stop appearing. So the investigation was just massive. You had dozens of letters pouring in, these ciphers that no one could solve, and a whole country pretty much in a panic. They did eventually land on a primary suspect, a school teacher named Arthur Lee Allen. And yeah, a lot of circumstantial stuff pointed his way. But, and this is the key point, they never found anything definitive. No fingerprints, no DNA match, nothing. The case against him, and really against every other suspect, just completely stalled out. And this really gets to the heart of the mystery of his persona. In his letters, the Zodiac claimed he killed 37 people. 37! But the police, they could only ever confirm 5 victims. So what does that mean? Was he this prolific, brilliant killer who covered his tracks perfectly? Or was he a master manipulator who was just inflating his own terrifying myth? So that's the big question, right? Why are we still obsessed with this case more than 50 years later? I think it's because the end of the story, it was just never written. Think about it. After the Polstein murder in '69, the confirmed killings, they just stopped. The letters, yeah, they kept coming for a little while, full of the same old arrogance and threats, but then even those just faded away. It's like he created this massive media storm, and then, right at the peak of it all, he just vanished, leaving nothing but a huge void of unanswered questions. And that leaves us with a one central question that defines this whole case. Was the Zodiac Killer a phantom who just disappeared into thin air? Or was he a man who was just never found? Did he die? Did he get locked up for something else? Or maybe the most chilling thought of all, did he just stop and live out the rest of his life as a normal guy, in total anonymity? The fact that we have no idea, that's exactly why the Zodiac will always be America's most terrifying ghost story.